All right, this is just a little impromptu share here for all my fellow nerds in the industry. So, I've been working on something here and got the idea over the weekend and wanted to just get some feedback because I don't know, maybe I'm the only person that thinks that this is cool and it's actually useful, or maybe there's actually demand for something like this. In which case, I'd love to maybe get a couple beta testers. So, this was, I had a page that I needed to create for a client, and I was like, let me just whip something up in Gemini, and just to really give you some context on this. But I've created essentially a chat here in Gemini where I've got everything really pinned down for what I want to do for this whole project. So if I want to iterate anything at all, like this is the site essentially. So any page I want to do, I just come in here and say, okay, this is like what I'm trying to do, and then work with it until I get the design that I want. So this came together after just a few iterations. Fed it some data as far as like what's going on here, what the purpose of the page is, and what information I want to share on the page, and it coded it, came up with this, and so okay, so the next problem is just getting it from Gemini over to the website. So here's this new process that I've developed. I'm using divi for this particular project. So this is my converter. And I come in here and just kind of show you how it works. So it gives me a little preview. I know that it's all working. There's a visual reference here for this app. I'm going to confirm it. This is exactly what I want. I built it in Gemini, so even though it says custom, but I'm going to correct it. This does kind of help. I haven't really tested it with ChatGPT, Webflow, or even from Claude itself, but I imagine I could always add more to this. And let's see, I got the right Divi version. I'm not going to fill that in for right now. I am going to include header and footer because it didn't actually attach either, so I just don't want it to get confused. So if you're going to launch like a full page, I'm doing this specifically for Divi, so if you're a Divi user, you would understand that you could have a header and footer already in the theme, or you can build custom headers and footers in the theme builder. So that's what I typically do. So this is what it's going to do. I'm going to pause it while it works, but within a few minutes it's going to come back and give me something that I can utilize. Okay, so here is the first output. So of course you can see I've already done something here, but that's why I felt the need to share it because it's working. It's actually working. If you do any vibe coding, you would probably know that there's a lot of trial and error, some pain along the way. So here's how this works. We just go into the like old school editor and just replace all this. So this is just step one. This one version is honestly good enough for this particular use case, but I'm going to show you something else that actually is even cooler. So okay, we'll update it, and then I'll show on the front end. So all this code is going to produce this layout for us. There we go. All these buttons work. They take you all the pages. Pretty nice. Not bad, considering that I didn't have to actually build anything. This would have taken me a while to do, or I would have had to hand it off to somebody and said, what do you want me to pay just to do all this? Just getting a button to have a hover state, that's going to take some dev in India or some kid in the Philippines. They're gonna get back to you in a few days, maybe. All right, so there we go. But now this is the only issue I have with a version like this. So if I go into the visual builder, it's all one section. Back to me, is it even working here? Yeah, this is not what I consider to be ideal. what happens if I want to make an edit, especially an edit, like where I'm in the page itself, right? I have to really do a lot of this from the back end. Everything's in there. That's a lot, but this is where it gets even cooler. So I'll pause while it thinks through this process and then show you what it looks like after. All right, sorry I got distracted there, but yeah, this was ready pretty quick. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this, go back to the edit page feature here. We're just going to exit the builder, paste all this as text, convert it back into the builder, update it, and then I think people are going to want to start using this whole entire process, because really I'm blown away. This right here is a time saver. I might not need any more assistance at all. I might just start doing all my designs in Gemini. I could do it faster than I could tell a designer what to do. And then build it using this process. Go straight from HTML into divi sites that I already manage and take minutes. I mean, in less than 30 minutes, I could have something that a client needs and have it looking like it took days, if not weeks. So let's update it and go, like, this is the part that takes the longest. Just waiting on the database to grab hold of all this stuff. Okay, so it doesn't look all that much different on the front end, but back end, this is going to give me the ability to play with all this stuff, right? So now I can come in here. I've got this section here. I've got another section down here. I've got another section down here. Now, of course, again, there are levels to this. It breaks it up a little bit. If I wanted to get deeper into it, where each one of these was something, let's just say, I mean, I'm kind of leaning against that for personal reasons. In some cases, like, you have to come in here, maybe like apply a module that is not exactly native to Divi, but maybe it brings in something like I'm not going to ever use a Divi form because I'm not crazy. But if I'm going to bring in something like gravity forms, well, I've got a plugin for that, so I'm going to have to make room for that. So this allows me to have that level of customization. But I mean, in certain cases, like I'm doing stuff that I'm just not going to necessarily get out of Divi. But I mean, if I wanted to, I could just copy and paste this and say, change this to that, and I just bring it right in, paste it, right? So, now my process moving forward is going to be copy that, bring it into pretty much any AI, right? And just make these changes. Remove this, add that, whatever. Or, if I feel like it, I can just come in here and do this myself. Now, there's not like a WYSIWYG editor. I mean, I realize that for, some people that's going to be difficult. But, again, you just go into the AI and make these edits and come back and apply it. You should be good. Like, these don't necessarily need to be modules, especially when you can get something like this so easily. So that's kind of my rant. I really think this is the best way to use what's good about Divi, but apply better practices using that theme. Because, I mean, let's face it, critics have like kind of ripped it to shreds and said that it's slow and it's not very flexible, but I can get all the flexibility I need with these code blocks and then break those up into more code blocks. So I've got other examples. This is probably one that actually isn't even the best case for me. Like, I've done much more complex layouts and had it come back pixel perfect with what I was able to design in Gemini after spending a good amount of time. So if anybody wants to give this a trial run, yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone. So if you're a friend and you're seeing this, reach out to me. I still haven't figured out exactly how to take something like this and get it online. That's kind of where I am, is in my vibe coding journey. But I would encourage others to adopt this workflow. I mean, we're talking about like being able to produce some incredible work and cut out, just so much cost and so much frustration and so much back and forth. By the time I got this done, I wouldn't have even gotten to the point where I got something back from my dev who would have said, "Oh yeah, sure, let's whatever." I'm already done, man. I mean, like, I don't even have to like describe the project to you. That describing what I want, telling you what I want, would take longer than me getting what I want. So why not just go straight to the to the end of the process? Skip all the middle. I mean, like, this is what this is for. But if you're working with Divi, if you've got the Divi builder, you've got other sites. I mean, do you really want to convert all those sites into something other than Divi, just so you could be able to, mass produce pages using something like Gemini, or Claude Opus is so great, loving that. But yeah, I don't know. I'll quit ranting because I mean, everybody understands what's up. If you're seeing this, you're somebody who knows exactly, like how the world has changed so dramatically. So this is my way of navigating through it with significant gains in efficiency.